The senator from Tennessee.
Thank you, Madam President. Are we in a quorum call?
Yes, we are.
I ask that we dispense with the quorum call.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I think from the President's comments at the correspondence dinner the other night, it may have taken a year, but finally the President and the White House are starting to realize that they have lost the American people when it comes to their agenda. And I think it's because you can only betray someone so many times before they stop giving you a second chance, a third chance, or even a 15th chance at doing something. And after 16 months of alternating between anger, confusion, and fear, all Tennesseans can do is just have a laugh at what the White House is saying and how they're trying to spin what is actually happening and how they're trying to tell you that what you're seeing is really not what you are seeing. Because they know, the American people know, Tennesseans know, that much of what you hear coming out of this administration is coupled with a threat, it's coupled with a falsehood, sometimes it's even coupled with a mandate. Joe Biden has lost what little control he had, but rather than re-examining his priorities, he's decided to cause as much pain as he can before the Democrats lose power. This is a pattern. The Biden administration doesn't lead, they mandate. They don't come to Congress and say, let's do this or that. They throw out an executive order. And when those mandates and orders that they're tossing out like they're candy, when they backfire, they come about this trying to inflict as much pain as they can. When business owners pushed back on pandemic mandates that made their survival impossible, this administration didn't relent. They doubled down. They just accused everybody who disagreed with them of being a danger to their communities. We all heard the stories. Oh, they're putting profit over people. Oh, they don't care about their community. They just want to keep the doors open. But no, what they wanted to do is serve their communities. When parents asked questions about what their kids were learning in school, the Justice Department threatened to throw them in jail if they protested curriculum influenced by critical race theory and other radical ideologies. When the administration saw their climate panic message wasn't resonating anymore, they came out with a plan to double down again and take away the few transportation and energy options people can still afford. And their response to historic levels of inflation is to tax and spend the American people into submission. See, this is the way they do it. If you're a parent, you show up to ask questions about what you're seeing your child study. Then they want to report you and say, you are the one that is causing a problem. Isn't it amazing how this administration has allowed cancel culture to infiltrate everything that they do? It is their way or the highway, as we would say in Tennessee, because they plan to run over you. They plan to cause pain. This is not governing, Madam President, it is punishment. Punishment for your beliefs, punishment for your actions, punishment for standing up for the Constitution, for democracy, for freedom of speech. They're going to punish you. Now, I thought that the administration had hit rock bottom with their response to the record-breaking inflation they created. But their plan to address Joe Biden's border crisis has been what has taken the cake. It is foolish and it is dangerous. The situation along our southern border is bad, and it's getting worse. Just this weekend, I spent some time out in West Tennessee. I was over in Benton County, the northwest corner of the state, talked with Sheriff Kenny Christopher. He told me that his officers are finding fentanyl in about 80% of the drugs they seize. Everything is laced with fentanyl. Marijuana, heroin, gummy bears, everything. Fentanyl is on the loose, running wild. Between 2020 and 2021, 64,000 people in this country died from fentanyl overdoses. 2,014 of them were Tennesseans. And where is this coming from? It is coming right across that southern border. It's so important to note, Madam President, this is a problem that escalated after Joe Biden became president. The cartels knew that the Border Patrol, that Donald Trump had their back. But now, with Joe Biden, it's running wide open. Every town's a border town. Every state, a border state. We're losing control over the flow of drugs. The cartels are in control of that southern border. You don't come across without them. Nothing comes across without them. They're so emboldened. Every law enforcement officer I meet with can tell you what cartel hub, that's right, cartel hub here in this country, on U.S. soil, where they're setting up their drug trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking operations. Control is lost at that border. In March, CBP recorded more than 220,000 encounters with people trying to illegally enter the country. Fortunately, they were able to use Title 42 and expel about 100,000 of those 220,000 individuals. Title 42 has been a lifesaver for the Border Patrol. Don't believe me? Go ask them. They will tell you. That is a lifesaver. They've used it more than 1 million times to deny entry and ease the strain on their limited resources. They need it. They need Title 42, and they will tell you they need Title 42. So, of course, the Biden administration is getting ready to take Title 42 away. Let's just open that border up. It's endangering our sovereignty, endangering our people. Every town's a border town, every state a border state, but let's throw caution to the wind. Open the border. Come one, come all. We had 160 different countries come across that border last year. Let's see if we can break that record this year. That's what this White House is saying, total disregard for the American people. Because if you take away Title 42, you're going to see not 6,000 illegal entries a day, you're going to see 18,000 illegal entries a day. They know that this is what will happen. And do they have a plan? No, they don't have a plan. They're expecting that 18,000 people a day. That works out to over 500,000 a month. 500,000 a month. Now, you know, Secretary Mayorkas admitted last week in his hearing that he just didn't seem to have a plan, but he was expecting this to happen. Now, in Tennessee, Madam President, we have 345 cities, towns, and villages. 345. Out of those 345 cities and towns, we have 90% of those towns are at a population of 20,000 or less. So it's the equivalent of the population of a typical Tennessee town coming across the southern border every day. How long can we sustain that? Now, your state of Illinois, Madam President, you all have about 1,200 1,400 towns and cities that are incorporated. You've got 102 counties. Now, out of those 1,299 incorporated towns and cities, 90% of those, likewise, are 20,000 or less in population. Or, if you hit 500,000 a month, that is equal to a Napierville, Aurora, and Rockford together. How long could Illinois sustain that? See, this policy not only affects the border with the U.S. and Mexico and those towns and communities and counties, it is every county in this country. Now, when Mayorkas was speaking last week over in the House, what he didn't do was confirm that the administration has a plan to reduce illegal immigration, or indeed, if they care at all about securing the border. Imagine that. A secretary of the Department of Homeland Security who does not believe in a secure border. You cannot make this stuff up. You can't make it up. For weeks now, a bipartisan group of senators has pressed the Department of Homeland Security for their plan to secure the border, to secure this country. And for weeks, they have ignored our concerns. As of today, Chairman Durbin has no plan to summon Secretary Mayorkas for a hearing so we can ask him directly. Last week, however, things escalated during a hearing at the House Appropriations Committee when the Secretary confirmed that the administration is considering pulling staff and resources out of the VA-run facilities and sending them to the border. Madam President, this is crazy. It is not part of the Department of Veterans Affairs' fourth mission to help the Biden administration save face, but even if it was, the VA is already struggling to serve veterans. We're on Veterans Affairs Committee. Our case backload for benefits for health care is over 260,000 cases. And you're going to take resources and medical personnel and administrative personnel and do what with them? Send them to the border. Getting basic care through the VA has become almost impossible. You hear it, I hear it, we all hear it from our veterans. And they know that these facilities are understaffed. This is why they're wanting to go to community care. And the agency is experiencing a 15-year high in turnover for nurses. And what does this administration do? They say, we're going to take the people left working in VA health care and administration, we're going to shift them down to the border because the Border Patrol needs some help. And meanwhile, the people that have put on the uniform and have fought for this nation can't get health care. And this administration acts like they don't give a ripping flip about any of it. The veterans, our nation's sovereignty, securing the border, protecting our citizens, eliminating the impact of drugs that are flooding our streets. That is one that, to make our veterans suffer, that is unconscionable. The administration knows that border encounters have consistently increased since the day they took power. They know this. They've watched it. And it appears that they have intentionally and purposefully allowed it. They know that as long as the border is open, that people from all around the globe are going to come. As I said, 160 different countries last year. On that, 42 known terrorist watch list individuals, 42 of them. But rather than keeping Title 42 in place or embracing remain in Mexico, or building a wall, or giving the Border Patrol the resources they've asked for years to defend this border. This administration has decided the way to go about this is let the veterans suffer. If they've waited 3 months, 6 months, a year, they can wait a little longer. That's their thought. Take the resources out of VA and send it to the border. There is nothing compassionate about this narrative. There's nothing caring. There's nothing right about this narrative. You know, it's the reason that, as the president said, he knows his approval rating is low. He knows there's a reason for it. He's not doing anything about it. He's choosing not to do anything about it. He's choosing not to shift his priorities. I will tell you, I've spent a lot of my adult life in the greatest creative community on the face of the earth. We're surrounded by songwriters and storytellers, and I would say that for some of the great authors and storytellers in my neighborhood, they couldn't mash together a plot line as convoluted as this one, because people would say that would never happen in the United States. You would never see us purposefully running up inflation by running up the cost of energy, or opening our southern border and allowing terrorists and drug dealers and sex traffickers and human traffickers and gangs to run in. You would never knowingly allow cartels to set up shop on U.S. soil. You wouldn't do that. But this administration has. And they did it because they know pain is the point. Suffering is the point. We're going to do this to you. Goes back to what I say many weeks. We as conservatives have a vision for better days, for hope, for opportunity for all, for preserving the freedom of this great nation, for preserving our rights, for protecting faith and freedom and families and hope and opportunity. And I fear that my Democratic colleagues, they've got an agenda. The agenda is what we're going to do to you in order to push a Marxist socialist agenda. I yield the floor. I know the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.